Jacob, can you think of a movie earlier than Alien that you would call cyberpunk? Because I was thinking about it as possibly the first cyberpunk movie in terms of it like being a seriously like cynical and effectively scary science fiction dystopia on the big screen.
Man, yeah, because when did the first one
79, I believe. I can actually look this up.
Man.
Can you think of, like, I know, like, so I think of, like, Westworld is still sci-fi.
I was just about to say, I was like...
Dark Star was one that Evan brought up in the chat. The thing is with those is there's a level of camp or cinematic distance. They're still very old kind of kind of studio camp or, like Dark Star, you really have to just earnestly accept some of the less effective effects because it's, like, novel as a student film.
Yeah.
But like Alien is, I think, still earnestly and effectively terrifying as a movie to this day, and I think it's sort of marked with a darkness to it that previous sci-fi horror movies didn't quite nail.
Yeah, it's really like I think it's all about that corporate hell.
Yeah, and that's something I want to bring up as well. So I put this in the description for going live because you bring up corporate hell.
Oh yeah.
I mention this every night. The first act of Alien, the original Alien, before they land on the planet, there's a labor dispute. They wake up and they're all wondering like, is this gig worth it? Should we do X, Y, and Z because of our pay? And then there's little inter character friction based on all that. It's space truckers.
Space trucker.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of synthetics in this one.
Yeah, there really is.
And so by the end of the movie, we all know Ash is a synthetic. They get the xenomorph. It goes off, kills them one by one. In an interesting meta awareness thing that's also feeds into my cyberpunk postmodern take on Aliens as the first movie to kind of really nail it, is the casting for its time was inverted. Like the most famous actors were dying first. The people that like you'd expect in a slasher to survive were dying instantly.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, that's a piece of context that gets lost. And that's the thing, is I'm going to talk a lot about that. Because in the first movie, yes, the xenomorph is killing them all and the antagonistic force. But it is the end result of where these space truckers have been pushed as a matter of the system they are working in, which is the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Like they're taking less and less, they're getting shafted more and more by the man, and they're being told to go deeper and deeper in the trench. And when they go so deep into the trench, you hit the xenomorph,
Mm-hmm.
It's biomechanically terrifying in that first movie. This is why I have such a contentious go live notice where I say Aliens is a weaker James Cameron movie. That is not to say it's a bad movie. It is a weaker James Cameron movie, and it is my least favorite of the original trilogy.
Interesting. It's a bold statement. It's a true hot take, I feel.
Because I feel Aliens, in the original Alien, after Ash just goes like, yo, this is what the fuck's up, the corporation wants this thing, he's so fetishistic for an android who's supposed to be like, passionless or robotic. He's reflective of just like the wants of the company, and he does admire the xenomorph. He calls it the perfect organism. It's such a bizarre mix of it's such a weird biomechanical thing in that first movie, and it's just a weird composition of like all these weird corporate capitalist economic wants as far as like the machine like just compressing everything evil about it into one commodity that it wants to trade to the point where like that commodity kills you. Oh shit, there it is right there.
Yeah.
But like even carrying that commodity as cargo is hazardous. Like consuming it will burst out of your chest. The xenomorph is a weird literalization of just like all this toxic corporate sludge literalizing and turning into a physical product that's just, it kills you. It just kills you. Like, imagine we've had examples of like the energy drinks that kill you, or you smoke too many cigarettes, you get cancer. Just accelerate that into and make it condense it into a single entity in a shorter span of time, a living organism, and you get the xenomorph. It's some sort of biomechanical, cancerous thing this corporation is imposing on you. That's what Alien is doing for me, like thematically and ideologically. In a void, by itself, it's 1979, you haven't seen the Alien sequels, you don't know there's queens, you don't know what a xenomorph looks like, you have no idea what a fucking face hugger is. Again, you haven't looked in Fangoria magazine, you haven't hit the internet and gotten spoilers. You just go into this Alien movie.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Star Trek.
And so, like, you see the face hugger, you see the chest burster, you see it mold into a worm, you see it turn into this bigger thing. You don't know what it's going to be next, but it just keeps getting more and more terrifying and horrifying, and it's just a dark, cynical movie about that, and it's very scary with that. Seeing Alien as a virgin, knowing nothing about the rest of its influence on sci-fi, must have been something. And so I very carefully say it's a weak Aliens is a weaker James Cameron movie, because first off, James Cameron makes bangers. Even his weakest movie is stronger than many other movies. But James Cameron turns them into insects, and he turns them into something more tangible to the human imagination, more classifiable. You're able to look beneath it. It's something you step on. There's a bit of an irony to the fact that, like, you can't just blow them up and it's acid and they'll kill you, and also that movie is about Marines getting wrecked by them, but it's still, it gives you a big boss of the species. It detaches it from the human element that's driving the first movie's weird toxic semiotics. It's making it easier to parse out, like, and make sense of the monster, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to his credit, it doesn't bastardize what the first movie's doing, and it is a tonal elevation. It is an elevation of the idea in a good way. I do think, however, it sets people up, or there's particular fans of Aliens that don't like Alien 3 because they like the happy ending of Aliens, even though I can square away Alien 3 canceling that out, because.
Yeah.
So going off of, if you were just to watch Alien, then Alien 3, skip Aliens. Hint, hint, I may have done this on a recent binge of the franchise because I had watched Aliens recently when we were watching all the James Cameron movies. If you just watch Alien and then Alien 3, it's actually a really good duology. You could even, in some ways, okay, I need to get out of the mech and just shoot these guys. Because Alien 3, just hit the square button. Alien 3 is getting back to that xenomorph as corporate sin, corporate amalgamation of evil thing, where if this thing's the perfect individuated killing organism, a single individualist, so hyper toxic it kills whatever with just perfect efficiency. The question is what beats that? Like, not just on a physical, like, oh, just call them bugs and step on them level like Aliens is doing, but like the ideological dread and horror present in Alien about this corporate Satan, this corporate demon, this culmination of evil in the tangible form. You can't just blast it out the door and forget about it. It comes back. What force can combat that? And I find Alien 3 very interesting because it's looking at religion as the force to combat that, and through that religion, a sense of solidarity. Because it's a sort of religious impulse in a movie that is asking you to be introspective and maybe a bit too much of a self-martyr in some respects, but it's more of an interior questioning of self the faith of Alien 3 is asking you to have than it is like a belief in a physical god. I mean, I think the Alien universe posits pretty clearly that if something like the xenomorph is permitted to exist in reality, God either does not exist or does not care. But yeah, so it's an interesting movie because it's trying to thematically wrestle with that. And I know even David Fincher has kind of said he doesn't like the movie or has kind of cast not much enthusiasm for it, but I disagree and find it a very, very engaging film.
Right.
Also, just, I don't know, the novelty of it bursting out of a dog or ox and that changing the morphology.
That was really.
That's a really great idea. James Cameron did turn them all into insects and introduce the queen. That's cool. But a lot of what David Fincher was doing in Alien 3 became like the standard visual imagery for the franchise. Like in the comic, like, you know, there's like a decade of comic books that come after it. It set the standard with like the Nine Inch Nails industrial, like lava gothic stuff. Again, the dog alien works really well. Like it lent a bunch of morphology and history. Go ahead and start a new, yeah.